All right. So, yeah, good to see everybody. We have Lauren. Thanks for joining this time. Fun to have you. Luca, you must be a friend of Nicola's.
Yeah, from Milan.
Sam.
From Milano. Ooh la la. All right. So Nicola is joining us from Puglia, like I said, from his home near Bari or in Bari?
It's very close to Bari.
Very close to Bari. So Bari being the capital of Puglia. But we'll start again with kind of an intro. So everyone, again, has different wines. Some people may not even have one from Puglia. They're all different depending on where you lived and what was available. But I've got, for example, a Primitivo, and I found a Negro Amaro, which are two of the biggest principal red wines from Puglia. Some people have a rosé. I think a lot of people have the Tormaresca rosé, which is 100% Negro Amaro, which we will talk about. It's the same grape that makes this. So feel free to open up your bottles, have fun. Mom, who is with you? Who is that mustached gentleman with you? Mom, what's going on?
Say hi to your cousin Dan.
What's going on,
Oh, hi, Danny. I did not recognize you with that. Good luck. Good luck, bud. All right. So we are recording. Thank goodness, because this is just a gem so far. I am going to start with just a little information on Puglia in general, as always, and then we will go over to Nicola. So let me share my screen. I threatened Nicola that we were going to start with this very obnoxious song, Andiamo a ballare in Puglia, and the whole thing is just Puglia, Puglia, Puglia. So I didn't do that. You're welcome. So beautiful, beautiful Puglia. So here we're starting, this is the Gargano National Park. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. I'm gonna move this over here. So the Gargano that you see here is the spur of the boot. And this really, for me, kind of sums up a lot of Puglia. So Puglia is in the south, so it is one of the hottest regions in Italy. It has 500 miles of coastline, so you have the Adriatic Sea to the east, and this is the Ionian Sea down here in the south, in the arch of the foot. And it's so unique, so amazing. It's the least mountainous region in Italy, so of the 20 regions, it's the least mountainous. It has one of the largest plains in Italy up here in the north. So besides the Po River Valley that flows up here through Emilia-Romagna and the northern part of Italy, this has the second largest plain. So we have a lot of wheat and agriculture and some fertile areas here. But then we come down here to the very tip of the heel, and then the Gargano up here, which is this very light limestoney, it's called tuffo, so it's very porous rock, and actually it makes up a lot of the land and architecture that we'll see throughout Puglia. So Puglia overall, very big Greek influence obviously was important. So the Greeks came and settled a lot of southern Italy. And then it was huge during the Roman Empire because they used its ports to go east. Amazing place. There's really just so much to say about Puglia. I wanted you to have a quick look at the wine regions of Puglia. So there is a lot of wine produced there. In fact, it's one of the largest producers in general in Italy. But a lot of it, especially up into the 1990s, was bulk wine. So a lot of table wine, and then a lot of exporting wine to other areas where they needed full-bodied, big wines to beef up other blends. So now we have, and Nicola will tell you he takes issue with this, there are only 4 DOCGs, so that highest category of strictness, if you will, of laws that apply to the different areas. 3 of them are right here around near Bari in this kind of north central area. And then we've got one down here in the Salento Peninsula as well. But we'll come back to that. I think Nicola wants to tell you what he thinks about that. So I just wanted to go through, Puglia is one of those places that in terms of tourism, not too many people ask me about it, but it is very popular with British tourists, actually. And there's definitely a lot to take advantage of there. Starting up in the north, you have the Gargano National Park. This is the town of Vieste that is up in that park. I posted a picture on Instagram and Facebook recently of Matt and I. We had rented a rubber boat, a little gomone, and did a weekend up here one time, but then I've been several other times as well. It's beautiful. And then, and wines in this area, there are, you know, some good wines, but this is not really where we're talking about some of the more quality wines like that we'll be tasting today. A lot of blends kind of from that area. So moving down to central Italy, this picture right here of this terrace, this was Matt's terrace in Martina Franca, Puglia, which is in the very center, high up on a hill. On a clear day, you could see both the Ionian and the Adriatic seas. And this picture was from these big French doors in the bathroom. It was awesome. Especially because when he and I met, I had been renting a room in Florence for like 5 years. And I lived out of, you know, 2 suitcases. I'd moved rooms like 3 or 4 different times. And then I get down here and he's got a 2,000 square foot apartment in the major piazza of his town. And I was like, ooh la la, tell me more, Matt. Anyway, I digress. But you also have Taranto, this beautiful fort up here on the right is the entrance to Taranto on the water. And actually, what was that new Michael Bay movie shot in Italy, Nicola?
Yes, and honestly, I don't remember the name for the USA.
Oh yeah.
There was, yeah, it was an action movie on Netflix a few months ago.
Yes, it was
With
filmed
the green Alfa Romeo.
Yes, it has the green Alfa Romeo. They drive through Florence like crazy. And I was there when they were shooting in Florence. I saw one of the cars go by,
Yeah.
and then they were coming down and filming in Taranto. And you see this fort, I think, in the movie. Anyway.
Six Underground. Six Underground was the name of the movie.
Six Underground, that was.
And the scenes of the Republic, that they had to conquer in some way, was taken in Taranto. Yeah.
In Taranto, yeah, a lot of it shot in Taranto. So beautiful places to visit down here. One of the things I'll say, the Murgia, the large limestone plateau. So when we're looking at this area, it's called Karst, is this huge section of Puglia that sits on this limestone plateau, that underneath it is a lot of rivers and crevices and holes. So there's a lot of good drainage in Puglia, almost a little too much, whereas a lot of other kind of higher quality wine areas may not allow irrigation and things like that. In Puglia, in some places, it's a must because of the types of soils and because it's so hot. With that type of soil, the drainage is almost a little too good. So this is a 5-star hotel where I was lucky enough to stay last year right by Taranto. It has an amazing spa, one of the oldest spas in Italy. Actually, it was kind of a natural spa area that they found, and they built this resort around it. So you see the limestone and that the white built into a lot of the architecture here. This is Martina Franca down here in the bottom left. This is the principal church in the town. And then nearby Loco Rotondo. And then this is what a lot of people think of Puglia. They see the Trulli. These houses aren't, sometimes are houses, yes. They'll put maybe a couple of them together and they form a house. Our friends lived in one comprised of 5 truly. This town is called Alberobello and it has the highest concentration of the truly. But originally, and Nicola, you can correct me on any of this, is they were built for farmers, and they were in the fields as places to cool down and storage and things like that. But these are all shops. It's actually extremely touristy. There's one good restaurant in Alberobello that just one. But around there are a lot in the countryside. This is the beautiful town of Polignano a Mare, and this is the flip side of that. So this is actually my picture walking down to this area out here. So a lot to take advantage of. And then southern Italy, when we go down south, it's called the Salento Peninsula. That's where Negro Amaro really shines, that grape, and where the rosé that you have probably comes from. But the biggest town down here is Lecce, and it's actually known as the Florence of the South. It's a very lively town. They have this Greek theater that they found, and the main piazza is built up around this Greek theater. These are me and my girls in one of the piazzas. They came down to visit Matt and I in Puglia once. And then all the way down south, Santa Maria di Leuca is at the very tip, looking south, where the Adriatic and the Ionian Seas kind of meet. And this is actually my picture as well, down there at the very bottom, looking out to the south, having a little aperitivo. And then one of the things, definitely, you know, if you want to visit Puglia, they have, you've heard of agriturismo, like the farmhouse idea in Florence. In Puglia, that's called a masseria. And so it's the same idea. You can stay, you can find all different, you know, styles and price ranges and things like that, but really wonderful places where you can, you know, do wine tastings and do the olive oil pressing on site and then be close to the sea. I have to say, before we really dive into the wines, the food in Puglia is outstanding. Nicola and I were talking the other day, and he said, if you're a vegetarian, this is the place for you. They're really, some of the towns like Martina Franca, where we were, was really known for the meats, grilled meats and capicola and all these other things. But that being said, the vegetables and just, I don't know what it is, but the dishes in Puglia are often very simple, vegetable forward, and they just are totally different than if I make something with broccoli here. I have to add a lot of salt to get it to taste like anything. But in Puglia, everything just has this wonderful taste. So here we go. I'm gonna kind of turn it over to Nicola and let you introduce yourself a little bit. And then we'll start tasting. We'll talk about the Negro Amaro and start with the rosé, if you have it, and then Negro Amaro, and then we'll go to Primitivo. Va bene?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll end that here. We can always come back if we need to.
Oh, yeah. So I would, hello, everybody. I see some friends of mine from Milan, from Ukraine, from Bari too. Very nice.
Welcome.
Okay. So we can, sure, start from, I would like to show you, again, the maps. I will try to show you some images during the time that we stay together. First of all, I would like to show you, I can't share the screen now. I don't know why.
I think I have to help make you a host. Aspetta.
Yeah. Give me the power, please.
You have all the power.
Okay. Okay, now I can do it. So, as you see, this is a simple map of Puglia. Just one thing to add you. to add to what Sally said is that we have no mountains in this region. More than half of the region is completely plain. So we have almost no rivers, just a couple of rivers, very short, and just 3 lakes that for the American point of view can be called puddles, maybe, no more, okay? So just to say, here the problem is not the sun. Here the problem is the water. So basically, if we should have wine, you know, for thanks to Jesus that have to convert water in wine, that could be a problem for us. So that's why we learned to do it. Okay. So that's you know, as you said, here the problem is the water. But luckily, we have also a good excursion, thermal excursion, no? So because the central area and the north have mountains and hills, so we are still able to have the sufficient thermal excursion and very good flavors also, because otherwise we have just the sun, and this could be a problem. But anyway, here is exactly the place where we are. So this is Adelphia. Here there is our winery. And we will see later this is the Gioia del Colle d'Oc area, approximately, where we have the biggest part of the plots. Just to give you some information about the wineries, I don't want to bother you with too much information about this, but this winery has been founded in 1881, so it's a very long history. But especially the last 3 generations has done the big work on the winery. The very interesting thing is that this area of Adelphia is the name of the town, is 150 meters on the sea level. So it's quite a lucky area because it's quite windy. It's able to dry very well the grapes. And this is very good because we don't have a lot of problem of mold on before the ripening time, you know. So we have 3 wine lines. There is the Donato Angiuli line. That is the average, the base, we can call it baseline, with all the main grapes of Puglia. So Negramaro, Nero di Troia, Primitivo, in this case Verdeca. Verdeca is a white grape from the Itria Valley, so this area around. Then we have the line Adelphos that is made with all the plants around the area of Adelphia, so very close to here. And the line Maccone. Maccone is the name of the first master seller of the Angiuli winery. So it was the name of the heart name, we can say. And so we decided to dedicate to him the whole line of the best wines of the winery. This is the best line that we have, because especially because all the plants are all bush trees, so not very comfortable to work with, but they are very old, at least 50 years. And we can go to up to 80 years, so it's very, very old. Mm-hmm. We will taste the Primitivo. I will taste the Primitivo Maccone in few minutes. That's all. So I would like to show you another thing now. That is something about Negramaro. We can, of course, switch to Negramaro.
Yeah.
Talk about Negramaro. Oh, sorry.
Yes, let's talk about Negramaro.
Yes, yes. So I would like to start with this picture because Negramaro comes from the old Greek dialect that means is made with two words. So negro and amaro. That means black and bitter. No? Comes from the old Greece, of course, and the main characteristic of Negro Amaro is that it's very versatile. You can do very full-bodied red wines because of the sugar, because of the high acidity. Very nice tannins to work with. You can do also very nice sparkling wine. And also sweet. It's very versatile. You can do everything. Our winery has also a white Negro Amaro. So we had a white wine done with Negro Amaro, is this one. So it's very versatile. This is the best thing of Negro Amaro. It's quite easy for a good nose to recognize it because of the strong blueberry flavor, the violet, and licorice. Licorice is very present, not only on the nose but even in the mouth. Negro Amaro is, of course, there's a strict relation with the rosé wines because the biggest part of rosé wines in Puglia is done with Negro Amaro, and you can see from these bottles, for example, this one, just the kind of rosé wines that you can extract. So this is a kind of copper rosé wine.
And we should say, so yes, there is this rosé that some people have, but rosé is a huge part of Puglia wines. They do a lot of rosés, and I think people would be kind of surprised to hear that, because I think a lot of people, if you think about wine in Puglia, you probably think about Primitivo first, especially as an American. But the rosés there, they do an amazing amount of rosés from that area. So if you are looking for more rosés from Puglia, you can look for that Salento. You see this word Salento everywhere. You're going to find a lot of Negro Amaro rosé from Salento. So just to throw that out there.
So the southern part of Puglia. Yeah. About rosé, we have also to talk about Nero di Troia. There is this. In fact, you were right. Maybe we are famous for Primitivo, for red wines, but we have also Negro Amaro and Nero di Troia. So these are the three main red wines that we produce in this region. So Negro Amaro is nice because of its versatile. The other one is the Nero di Troia. Nero di Troia is a bit particular. It's less versatile than the Negro Amaro. Comes from the old Greek city of Troy, very popular for the movies and for the histories, of course. The difference here is that Nero di Troia is quite different because has a lot of tannins, medium sugar, but especially the skin is very thick. So you have to do a very long maceration to extract all the elements. And when you got it, you have a lot of tannins. So you can do very, I can't say easily, but you can do very structured red wines, very good for aging a lot of years. The problem is that Nero di Troia is not easy to work. So not a lot of producers are able to do very good Nero di Troia. We are able to do that, of course.
Yeah, of course.
In fact, especially in the Northern Europe countries like Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, they love our Nero di Troia. Honestly, I don't know why that region loves Nero di Troia. Honestly, it's still something mysterious for me, but this is how it works.
Oh, well.
And Nero di Troia is even more easy to recognize on the nose because you definitely see you usually feel roses, blackberries, and a lot of time black mulberries. They are not very easy to taste as a fruit, maybe, because they're not very popular. Here you can find few trees somewhere, but if you are lucky enough, when you come to Puglia, you can taste them. So in this case, I would like to show you the difference in the rosé wine, because rosé from Nero di Troia have completely different kind of color.
Yeah.
This is an example, of course. As you see, it's like, it reminds you cherries. It's okay, I don't want to buy.
Yeah,
You
it
see the
looks
difference,
like,
it's completely different.
yeah, it looks like candy. I mean, it looks like it would.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is to see, just to show you the real difference in the colors. And about rosé, we produce two kinds of rosé.
You mentioned maceration real quick. So maceration is simply
Yes.
when you leave the juice, you press the wine, you leave the juice on the skins to get the color and the tannin. So maceration is just that process, basically.
Yeah. Talking about rosé wine, so the maceration is the main concept, in fact. In a lot of time ago, in Puglia, rosé wine was called the wine of the night, because just the short time of the night was enough to get the color, you know. But honestly, as Sally said, Puglia is a kind of the province of Italy. So as in France, we have the province. Puglia is the same in Italy, because we have the biggest part of the rosé wine produced in this country.
Oh, like Provence. Yeah, you're like the
Yeah, Provence, yeah.
Provence of Italy. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, we have two differences with France. We are nicer than French people, of course. And we have also, they have just one method to extract the rosé. We have two methods to extract. So basically in the north of Puglia, so the area of Nero di Troia, Bombino Nero is another one. We have the technique is called long maceration. Long maceration means that the whole process takes more than 12 hours. This is because this kind of grapes are not very colored, so you can keep them in the maceration a lot of time. There is an advantage in this technique, because you can extract also a part of tannins that are very good to keep in the best condition the wines.
Yeah, they help structure the wine. So the tannin with the acid help the wine. It's like a protector. Those two things together protect the wine.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, here it's not so rare to taste a rosé of 2 years or even 3 years. Sometimes we are able to do a small vertical because they can stay very well even for a couple of years, for example.
Nice.
This not happen with the rosé of the south, except for few bottles. In the south, there is another technique that is called salasso. There is a short maceration. Just to salasso in English is something like this. I will show you the picture, just to give you the idea.
Salasso.
So, this is the name. It's bloodletting, maybe.
Bleeding.
Bleeding, yeah.
Bleeding the tank. Salasso.
And this gives the idea to the extraction of the rosé juice soon after the press. So it's very different. It's another technique, and in fact the results are very different from north to south of Puglia. We produce a rosé in the line Maccone. We produce two rosé from Primitivo, and they are very good also because they come from bush trees. So the structure of the rosé is very important. You can use it also with fish and with tomato sauce and so on. It's very versatile too.
Did you say they come from bush trees?
Yeah. Bush
So
tree.
like the alberello.
Sì, alberello.
Do you have a picture of that to show people? Because I think that's really interesting. So what he's talking about is there are different techniques, a lot of them, for how you train a vine. So a lot of the times what you see is the vine stem coming up and going off like in one arm or maybe two arms tied to the wires, right? In Puglia, they often use this bush training, or called alberello, like little tree,
Yeah.
and they grow off the ground just like a little tree. They're not trained to those wires and like the classic, that we probably picture more than anything. So tell us again why do they use alberello like this in Puglia?
Well, it's this is the best. They are the best way to. They are how to say. They give you a lot of quality, but they don't give you quantity. So it's just a matter of extraction of elements.
Yeah, it's a low yield, and
Yeah.
so like the yield of the grapes that you get from these isn't very high, the number, but the quality is higher because there are fewer overall. So the ones that are there, they have to compete to get all the nutrients and stuff out of the ground, and so the quality is better.
Yeah. It's not very easy to work with them because it's not easy at all. Just say this. This is an image of Primitivo.
Are we going to Primitivo
bunches.
now?
Oh yeah.
Primitivo, okay.
Primitivo is the most famous grape that we have. I don't know, Sally. You told to them that what Primitivo word means.
Nope.
No, maybe in English sounds close to primitive, but it's not primitive. It's the right word to translate is early. Primitivo is every year is the first red wine that you harvest. So sometimes even in the first days of September, no more. Soon after the wine, soon after the whites. Sorry. As you see, the bunches are very small, like small grenades, and the skin is very thin. This is a problem because when you touch the bunches, it's very easy to crush them. So they do not resist very good to the problem with weathers. I don't know. So every time there is still a very hard rain, can be a real problem for this kind of grape. But the nice thing of Primitivo is the sugar. It has a lot of sugar, so we can extract very powerful and full-bodied red wines. The sugar sometimes can be a problem because it's not a problem to extract even more than 15 or 16 degrees of alcohol. Our Primitivo Maccone, for example, is 15.5. And for some market, I know that some producers have to write on the label that is just 15, because otherwise they have to pay more taxes because it's like a super alcohol.
Right. Yeah. So wines generally, like a full body red wine, pretty much the limit is right there at 15 and a half. And if you're over that, you're considered like almost like like digestivos and spirits and things have a different category of alcohol. So if they go over that, he's saying they have to write something else totally on the label because it's considered like a super alcoholic drink.
Of course, we are very proud of it. We are very proud of it, but it's a problem from the commercial point of view. Sometimes.
Is it, so we know Primitivo is genetically the same as, were you going to talk about Zinfandel?
Oh, yeah.
So
It's exactly the same, yeah.
it's exactly the same. So they did tests on Primitivo and Zinfandel are genetically identical. So they're the same grape. So when we talk about Primitivo from Puglia, it's the same as we talk about the Zinfandel from California, basically. And they're both the same as a Croatian grape.
Yeah,
Or Greek. Croatian.
No, Croatian.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, I think, you know, if you like Zinfandel, then here you go.
Yeah.
But of course,
yeah, talking about the sugar, I told you that sugar can be here is very common to have 14, 15 degrees, even if you produce your wine at home. I would like to show you the face of my father when a few years ago we saw that we had so few sugar that we can obtain a Primitivo with no more than 13 degrees. So this was this was the phase that my father did. It was really bad.
oh, I can't wait.
Because we are not used to 13 degrees. Absolutely.
And
so,
wait, did you show us his face?
Yeah, sorry,
No, we have to see his face now.
No, because I think I have a small problem with Zoom.
Well, so I want to clear something. Well, just talk about something a little bit more while you find your father's face. When you're talking about, when he's talking about sugar and alcohol.
I don't know what is happening.
So the sugar, nope, we still see grapes. But so the sugar, all right, so sugar becomes alcohol, right? So if a grape is, has a lot of sugar and a thick skin, which equals a lot of tannin, so that equals, is that your father, Mr. Bean?
Yeah. I don't know if you see the face. So this was yeah, absolutely. Like this.
So your father made the face of Mr. Bean?
I said, Dad, don't worry, it's not a problem.
So the grapes, the Primitivo, have a high sugar content. So when it undergoes fermentation, that sugar gets turned into alcohol. So the more sugar a grape has, the higher alcohol percentage it's going to end up with. If you stop fermentation at some points, you can have residual sugar, which makes wines sweet. So some wines are sweet because either it had a lot of sugar and the yeast couldn't consume it all to make it alcohol, or the winemaker chose to stop fermentation early so that there was residual sugar in the wine, thus it made it a little bit sweet. So he's saying the Primitivo is so full of sugar naturally that wines in Puglia, the Primitivo wines, are often 15% alcohol, maybe even 15 and a half. So he was saying his father was shocked when they didn't have a 15%, or they had a 13% alcohol, which is a pretty common percentage for a normal red, a light-bodied red wine. Whereas whites are usually 10 to 12, maybe 12 in that area. So
you're spending your time for 12 degrees.
Yeah.
You're wasting time for 12.
Yeah, just drink that red wine, baby. Okay.
Maybe it can be interesting especially for someone who wants to visit Puglia and taste red wines, to talk about a few differences between the Primitivo from Gioia and Manduria.
Do you want me to show that map again of the areas?
Yeah, maybe it's easier. Yeah.
Okay, so, oh, you have to let me host again.
If you want, I can do it. I have Google Maps.
I got it. Okay.
Okay.
So going back to this, so there are two different areas where Primitivo is grown mainly. And that is, we'll go back up to this map real quick. Okay, so here we see this area around Gioia del Colle. Where is it? Gioia del Colle, right here. And then there's an area down here. Is it the purple? No, the Primitivo di Manduria.
Yeah, that's one.
These are the two classic areas, and the Primitivo in these areas are different. So how are they different?
Well, the difference is that Gioia del Colle is has a lot of hills. Is a windy region. There is every day there is the wind. Manduria is very close to the sea, so there are a lot of sand. We have in Gioia we have limestone. In Manduria is close to the sea, so we have sand. There is a completely different soil. The result is that both are very strong of alcohol. Manduria maybe even more, 1 degree even more. But the nice thing of Gioia is that we can extract more tannins, and usually we have a higher acidity. This reflects in, from my point of view, in a nicer Primitivo, especially for aging. Mm-hmm. Consider that a lot of wineries in the area of Gioia not use any kind of wood. An example is our winery. We have just steel, and this is very nice because you can feel the real flavors of the grape. In Manduria, they use more wood, not that much, but the right quantity. The difference, especially in the mouth, is that Primitivi from Manduria are give you the idea of a fruit more ripe, especially. So, for example, if you think to cherry, that is something very typical in young Primitivo. You can easily feel the jam of cherry in the Manduria Primitivos. Mm-hmm. So these are the main differences. But they have in common, they are very strong. So it's quite impossible to find less than 14 degrees, even if you are unlucky. So,
is anyone eating food with their Primitivo today? I hope so.
Yeah, I see yes. They say yes. No, very nice.
No, not Casey and her friend over there. They're gonna get a little.
Maybe it's time to taste something. What you say?
Yeah, let's taste.
Yeah, things get serious now.
Let's get serious. Drink that wine. Are you tasting your Primitivo?
Yeah, of course. I will taste, I'm already tasting the Marcone line, the best one, because I'm lucky. So as I said, this comes from plants with more than 50 years, so it's very structured, very full-bodied in the real sense. You see, Sally, when you get the W set, the first thing that you have to say is the clarity of the color. But with wines like this, it's very hard to say if it's clear or not clear because it's completely black. So
very dark. So yeah.
Yeah.
So he was referring to, I think I showed you all this. This is it's on the Wine Club website too. So the list that you go down, is it clear or hazy? Well, it's clear, but it's deep. Its depth is a deep, deep.
Super deep.
I'll say ruby.
Oh, just to tell you, we are so used to these deep colors because here it's very hot, so the extraction is very high. That the first time that a sommelier from this region watch a Pinot Noir is able to consider like a rosé wine. You say, oh, this is a rosé, this is not a red wine. So at the first lessons, they say, okay, guys, now forget Primitivo and our colors and just try to map again all the real colors of the red wines.
I thought you were going to say he thought it was like watered down wine.
Yeah.
Not wine. What is this?
All the people here doesn't call the red wine red, but they say the black wine. Bring me the black wine, they say.
Yep. So when you're looking at the body of the wine, so you hold the glass like at a kind of angle, not totally, yeah, like 45 degrees over a white background. And you're looking straight through the middle. So is that deep, deep dark to where you can barely see to the other side of it? Yes, mine is. So the intensity we'd say is deep. And then the colors that you look for red wine are purple, ruby, garnet, or tawny. And I'm going to say this is ruby. Mine's not quite garnet. It does not have those kind of orangey edges. So that's pretty characteristic too of these wines. Sometimes young wines will even see purple and purple at the edges. That's pretty common down here as well. Tawny would really be like an older aged wine generally, where it's going to be kind of garnet in the middle and then goes orange towards the edges. So, and then you can see too at the edges when you're looking at it, the color runs all the way to the end. Sometimes in wines, you'll look at this and see, you know, that deep color like through the middle, but then it starts bleeding out towards the ends, and the ends are almost clear. That helps you decide kind of on your intensity as well. So that's kind of fun. So what are we smelling in Primitivo in general?
Well, the main is absolutely cherries and plum. Okay. These are really characteristic, especially for Americans. Can be very easy to recognize the plum. I mean, we have the Californian plums, for example, and sometimes it's exactly the same, But of course, the ripe cherry is also it's very easy to find.
I can actually, one of mine that I have, I can definitely smell more like licorice or some sort of spice, but to me it's more like licorice.
Usually,
and I know you said Negro Amaro, but for sure my Primitivo smells more like licorice.
Yes, but for example, licorice is one of the flavor of our wine also, and this is very good because it's a kind of flavor that it's very hard to find if you use the wood. It's easy for a Primitivo also to, especially in the area of Gioia del Colle, to give you this kind of flavor because we use steel. So it's common, yeah. For example, in our Primitivo, you definitely feel licorice and tobacco leaves, for example.
Yeah. Britt and Brad nailed it, I think.
Yeah.
So he's saying too, I want to clarify, you talked about aging in wood versus steel. So that's a choice of winemakers. Not all winemakers will choose to age their wines in wood. And when we say wood, that's very specific because it can be a French oak barrel. It can be an American oak barrel. Actually, you might be surprised to know that American oak is very popular, even in a lot of Italian wineries. They can use the large tonno, so the 2,000 liter. They can even go higher than that, of Slavonian oak. So there are lots of different options when you talk about aging your wine in wood. The size, the type of wood, all factor into the flavors and the structure that it imparts on the wine. So If a wine, is very fruit forward and the winemaker wants to keep it that way, they might just age their wine in steel without imparting those different flavors and the structure from the wood. So it's all a matter of choice, and it doesn't mean that one's better than another. Even though wood sometimes, depending on the wood, can equivalent to price, because you pay for the time that that wine has spent aging in a cellar and taking up a very expensive wood barrel. So those can factor into price and things like that. But if you just like a young, lively, fruit forward wine, that may not be oaked, and that's okay. That, we all have different tastes too. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that real quick. So what is everybody tasting and smelling? Did anyone make the orecchiette pasta with the sausage and broccoli like I suggested on the website? No. I'm just kidding, I don't care. All right, fine. Well, so what else?
Well, what to tell you?
I don't know.
To tell you something more. One interesting thing is about aging. Usually,
like 4 feet.
I unmuted everybody without them knowing, and I'm sorry.
You gotta mute us now.
Oh yeah, so you can unmute yourselves if anyone has any questions. But sorry, Nicola, you were saying something?
Okay, we're unmuted.
Oh no, he's muted. You guys, look what I've done. My wine is so high in alcohol.
Are we unmuted?
Everybody.
This is Magnet. Hi, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Casey's birthday, guys.
Happy birthday, Casey.
Happy birthday!
Salud.
For you.
There we go. Valentina, are you in the Ukraine? You're in the Ukraine. You win for farthest from us. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Big party.
Levo la parola della bottiglia. Cheers.
Amazing. It's really kind of cool that like you can.
Sono gli altri partecipanti.
Mute everyone again. You can unmute yourselves if you want. All right. Got a little out of hand. So you were going to say something else, I think.
yeah, something about aging, because sometimes you buy very nice bottle, and you don't know exactly what will be the best moment to enjoy the bottle. Up to 5-10 years ago, Primitivo was not very good for aging. So, for example, it was almost impossible to see, as we said before, Garnet or Tawny Primitivo, because if you saw a Garnet Primitivo, it was over. In the last years, yes, in the last years, luckily all the producers did a very nice effort to improve the quality of Primitivo, and so now is you can taste even Primitivo of 5, 6, or 8 years with at their top.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite interesting, especially for producers that not use wood, because as you know, when you use wood, you can extract also tannins from the wood that are very good for aging. So it's outstanding to have this result now just using steel. But this is the result to have very old trees, very old plants, because these plants are able to give you something that only the old plants can give. There's no way to give you the same structure otherwise. One interesting thing for American people can be also about pairing.
Pairing, yep.
Yeah, because for example,
don't let me forget, I also want to ask you if people in Puglia often make their own wine. But yes, tell us about pairing first.
Yeah. Yeah, about pairing, you know, Primitivo is very good for especially grilled meat, so lamb steak and so on, that I really love, of course. And pasta with tomato sauce in a lot of ways, because Primitivo wines are not very dry usually. In Gioia del Colle are drier than the Manduria, Primitivo di Manduria version, especially. But there are a lot of red wines even more dry than Primitivo. But this roundness, this smoothness is very helpful with the tomato sauce that is a bit acid, or with the bitter note of the grilled steak, for example.
I am remembering a couple of great barbecues down there, and I think right now, if I had my choice, I would say some of the grilled, like lamb, something like that would be perfect with this. If only. There's also this thing, what are we, torcinelli?
Ah, sì, sì, sì.
Gusto.
Yeah.
So I was telling, I think everybody, I look for Matt. So my ex-boyfriend was from northern Puglia, around the Gargano area, and spent many summers there. But they had this grilled little sausage kind of looking thing. But it was like every part of the lamb, including the fegato, liver, brain, and it's wrapped in like intestine, and then they grill it. And I'm pretty adventurous, especially with food. And I was like, I'm not sure about that. And then I had one, and I was like, give me more of those. I'm taking them on the train. I'm taking them home with me. They were delicious.
Yeah, we will not talk about the bigger version of torcinelli. Yeah.
Nobody offered me one of those.
Yeah, maybe it's better because maybe I told you about the strange name that it has.
Oh yeah, no, we can't talk about that.
No, we can talk about
it. It has a better.
It's
I think people can
not.
imagine maybe what it is, but yeah.
Just to add something more about pairing, especially for American wine lover. Don't use Primitivo or Zinfandel on spicy dishes, and of course no barbecue sauce, because it's really
too much.
Yeah, it's too much. It's terrible. But otherwise, you can use it.
I see my nieces. They're wrapped in towels. Does anyone have any questions? 4 friends from the Ukraine. Amazing! That's so fun. We're in, let's see, we're in Maryland, Kansas, Missouri, Georgia, Indiana. I think that's it. So Italy and the Ukraine. Just your regular old Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
strange things that happen during the quarantine, you know?
Yes, I'm telling you. I feel like we're all getting closer, even though we're still farther away. But yes. Nobody has any questions for Nicola? Nicola, so is making your own wine common in Puglia?
Yes, absolutely, yes. It's very, it's normal, especially, of course, not in the cities, but just outside the city is quite normal to do the wine by your own. And of course, the most important moment is when you see the sugar, as I told you before, because everyone are around the people with the I don't know in English how it's called.
Oh, I
the
do.
Tools to
the brack or something. It's a tool to measure the sugar from the juice.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody are around there, you know, And that is the most important moment. There.
Because that tells you how high in alcohol your wine will be, and if it's strong or not.
Of course, because when you do the wine at home, you don't care about acidity. This is usually I care about it, of course, but people just think to sugar. For me, that's the all important thing: sugar, then alcohol. If you have a Primitivo with less than 14 degrees, it's a shame. Shame on you. All the family will pass really bad days.
Oh, get out of here with your 14% nonsense. So do they take, I bet they, so people have vines in their gardens and things like that. So they'll probably harvest by hand, and then do they take the grapes to like a co-op, to a cooperative that presses and makes the wine for them, or do they make it in their garage?
No, in the garage, really. In the garage. Usually, a lot of people, especially in the last years, it's not easy to keep in good condition your vineyards, especially when it's small, because you need a lot of time. So a lot of people just buy the grapes, or they harvest by their own, as I do, for example. And then all the process go into your garage.
That's amazing.
Or your cellar, if you're lucky like me. So.
Oh, you have a cellar, a basement. Ooh la la.
It's really, is your fresh place when it's too hot outside, because here it's common to have even 40 degrees in August.
40 degrees Celsius, yes, 100 degrees. So that's what I was going to say next. Do you feel like temperatures are getting warmer where you are? Do you see that being a problem for wine in Puglia with things heating up?
Yes, it's a problem. Of course, it's a problem. Also because the weather are a bit. It's not just of the a problem with the temperature. The problem is with this weather that you cannot expect as before. It's not regular.
It's not predictable. It's not as predictable.
Yeah, it's not predictable at all. It's really changing every year. This is a mess. It's a real mess. In this area, we are lucky because we are, as I told you, not on the sea level. So at least we have the wind that help us. Even in case of rain in the end of August, we are almost safe. Mm-hmm. But in other area, it's more difficult to have to avoid problem or disease and so on.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
Nicola, let me ask you a different question in terms of your favorite places in Puglia. So I'm sure Bari is a favorite, but let's say you had to pick 1 to 2 places in Puglia to go on your vacation. Where do you go?
I have to ask you, it depends from the period.
Okay,
because, for example,
like July, August.
Oh, July, August, my God. Of course, Central Apulia, so Itria Valley.
Where I lived, Alberobello, Martina Franca.
Yeah, because even from Bari to Itria Valley and going even more with on Martina Franca, going to the sea to Ostuni, the central area of Puglia, because it's a bit fresh, especially during the evening.
A little bit cooler at night, yeah.
Yeah. I'd say Salento also for the sea, that is wonderful. It's like to be in the Caribbean islands, but it's very hard to live the sea in August. It's almost impossible to find a place.
Because there are so many people.
Yeah. For example, for me, for example, July is the last month that you can enjoy Salento. August is it's a problem.
So I remember going with the ex-boyfriend, so his family had a place in Vasto, so at the northern part of the Gargano, at the very, very north of Puglia. And as an American, so we all hear, you know, Italian, Spanish, the Mediterranean culture, eating dinner later, going out later, things like that. I remember when in August, we were there for Ferragosto, which is the August 15th summer holiday in Italy. You know, everything shut down. I don't want to send anyone that I know to Italy in August. It's closed. Don't go.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I remember being out. We went to a long dinner, you know, it started at 9 p.m., got out of dinner at 11:30 p.m. And then we go into the piazza and it's families playing soccer and kids running around playing tag and just thousands of people in these beautiful squares until midnight, 1 a.m. And I was like, oh, wow, even kids and families and things, because in the summer, it's just one long party into the night.
Absolutely.
It was very fun. I love the Gargano, though. Those towns are beautiful.
Yeah, you know, Gargano, especially if you like, it's a different kind of, it's a bit different from the rest of Puglia, because there are also, it's not mountain, but almost mountain, no?
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's
a very
down.
good place for camping, for example, if people loves camping and very quiet places.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Mhm.
I really love too. In fact, every year, 2 or 3 days are sure in Gargano. But for example, in May or June, no.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's very nice.
And then the other thing people probably don't know about Puglia is the olive oil. Really amazing, high quality olive oil from Puglia too. And that's easy to go throughout the area and go to the press and see them press olive oil. I don't know if people know this, but olive oil is not like wine in many ways. Growing it, pressing it, making it. Olive oil is very fast. So when olives are ready, when they're perfectly ripe, which they plan out to a T. So usually October, November, depending on where you are, you're measuring the acidity in your olives every day. And you're watching the weather and you are kind of hedging your bets. And what many people do, most people don't have the press on site at their own homes, but there are these co-ops. So they'll say, okay, my olives are looking like they're going to be ready Friday at 3 o'clock. So they'll book their appointment at the co-op, at the press. They'll harvest that night before or that day, usually the night before when it's cooler and not too hot, but also during the day. But they have to have the acidity. So extra virgin olive oil cannot be higher than 0.8% of oleic acid. Otherwise, it's not extra virgin anymore. So they take it to the press. It's super quick. You can watch it all happen. The farmers are all there. They dump their little trucks in there and they watch it get pressed or smashed down into like a pulp. And then they put them on these kind of straw mats and then they stack the mats on top of each other, press them down. The oil goes into a centrifuge, spins around, water goes one way, oil goes another, and then it comes out this drain, bright green, like bright green, and straight into the bottle. And you can go in when they do this, if you're lucky enough to be there when it's happening, you can go take a piece of bread and just stick it under the spigot and get the oil on there and shove it into your mouth. And it's amazing. And it's fast. And then they take their oil and they go, and it's amazing. But oil from Puglia is amazing as well. It's really good quality. Do you do oil at your place? Is that what you had, a bottle?
Yeah, of course. I can show you the bottle. But consider that a lot of people do the wine by their own, but even more people do the oil by their own. Here is really, really common to produce the oil for the family.
Yes, absolutely. So people will do their own oil like that, keep containers. I have some in there, like big tin containers. But if you're in Italy, especially living there, you want to get in on somebody's list and get in on that oil. And usually how to do that is you have to volunteer to go help pick the olives, which sounds romantic and lovely. It's backbreaking and it's hot and it's hard and it's a long day, but you're rewarded usually with a meal and with some olive oil. So
yeah. For example, one funny thing, you know, a lot of young people go from south of Italy to the north for work, you know. An example is my friend Luca that is with us, and we can ask to him if, for example, Luca, can you buy olive oil in a shop?
in
The
Milan,
answer should be absolutely not, because
Absolutely not.
because you expect olive oil from the south, of course.
From the France.
Yeah.
from your friends, they better
Yeah.
ship some olive oil up
Of course.
there.
Well, I have also a friend in Scotland, for example, and they expect absolutely the olive oil from Italy. There's no question about I can buy it. No question. There's no absolutely the idea to buy the olive oil, because you are just used to this very strong olive oil. Even for salad, you have just to put a bit, not that much.
It gets you right here in your throat.
Yes, yes.
Nicola, you know that I am attending for 5 bottles of olive oil.
Yeah.
I'm here only for that.
I think one of the funniest things to see too, and this is just an American, let's say going to Puglia for Easter or for a holiday, and then you take the train back to Florence, you know, so you're on the train for like for 8 hours or something, but everyone's got these big trolleys or suitcases or baskets full of oil and salumi and whatever their mom made that they're sending back in a freezer pack. I mean, it is like, but these are like adults too, but it looks like 18-year-olds who are in college and they go home to visit for a weekend and they get shoved all this stuff in their car. That's what everyone's like carrying back on the train from being home for like Easter weekend. It's amazing.
And this is right.
I've lost a seat to somebody's like lasagna that their grandmother made, and it was in a freezer pack, and I had to stand for like 4 hours, and I was like, I respect your commitment to your lasagna, so I'm okay with this.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's absolutely normal. Absolutely normal.
I miss it. Ugh,
The bag from the south,
the
as we
bag
call it.
stuff.
Il pacco da giù.
Yeah. So, what other questions do people have, or stories, or any questions about visiting Puglia or anything like that? Luca, what do you do in Milan?
I work, obviously.
A lot.
A little bit.
Are you okay in these days with COVID and everything happening? Are you starting to go outside a little bit more?
No, I'm fine. I have a good amount of wine in my
It's okay.
glass, so
Olive oil. He doesn't have any olive oil.
I can stand for I think 2 or 3 months. I have 40-50 bottles, so I'm fine.
Has Milan started to open a little bit? Have you gone outside
Yes,
more?
from this week. From this week, we are all the activities are open. So we hope that the normality will be back soon.
We hope that for you too. We hope that it's back to normal for you. I know it's been really hard. So
Celia, how is going there in the US?
in the US, it's different depending on where you are, which state you're in. I think probably everyone on here would give you a different answer. about how it's going and what the situation is. So I will say that where we are in Maryland at our house, well, so my husband is still working from home. He has been since March 17th, since St. Patrick's Day. And I don't think there's any plan for them to go back to work yet in 2020, actually. And he works for the government, which is interesting. But we live in the country. We don't live in a city. So we are at home. We go to the grocery store and that's it. We're lucky that we have water and things to do. So it's different everywhere you are. We shall see how it goes this summer. And hopefully, we can figure out how to reopen things and stay safe at the same time. Was that PC, everybody? That was my goal. So yeah, we just, we hope people stay safe is all. Yeah. What else? What's everyone doing the rest of the evening or weekend? Nicola, it's late for you now. You're just gonna be up drinking wine all night. All right, well, I'm gonna stop the recording here. I'll start muted.